Hey there. Hey there. Happy Tuesday. Let me see if I can hear myself. Hey there. Hey there. Happy. Okay. So I can hear myself. Let me go to my YouTube channel because I'm trying to do this on YouTube as well. I'm trying this out on YouTube. Oh, oh wow. There I am on YouTube. I like. Okay. Thanks, Wanda Briscoe, for telling me that I can stream on YouTube as well. So if you get on, who is this on here? Please drop your StreamYard unless you quote unquote register your name or whatever, however you got to do with StreamYard. I can't see who it is. So if you could please drop your name, your city, and your state so that I can greet you properly because I can't see you. All right, and I can only see you if you make a comment. As a matter of fact, let me make a comment so that I can see. Comment so that I can see. Comment so that I can see. Okay, here I go. I like to think that I know this technology thing, but I am not the greatest at it. So, yeah. So happy Tuesday, everybody. It's been a couple of days, more than a week or so that I haven't been on. As I said in my last video, I just been living. I just been living. My family is in the other room, and so let me sneak up in here for a moment and talk to you all. And yeah, and then I ain't gonna be before you long, as I'm really never am. But I did want to come on and talk about compliance. Before I talk about that, there's so many new people in the group. So welcome. I think the last time I forgot what the number was the last time I got on, but now it's up to 100, over 150 people. So I am so grateful that man, that you all are um finding interest in the group, and with me not being on every day or even every week. So thank you all for sticking it out. Nobody has left the group. So I'm so happy about that. So yeah. So a couple of announcements. The first, well, let me go back. Since we got new people in the group, let me formally introduce myself, so that you can know who I am and what this group is about. If this is your first time in this group, I don't know how you got here. Maybe you heard something or made me say something on Instagram. Maybe you saw an ad. I don't know. Thank you so much for being here. I am Jill Morris, also known as a Savvy Servant, also known as a nonprofit expert. So if you're trying to start a nonprofit or develop your existing nonprofit, you are in the right place. I have years and years of experience in nonprofit management and development from just about every aspect of the nonprofit industry, from grassroots, trade associations, faith-based, um, private foundations. I got a bulk of my experience from the federal government, where I served as a program manager for 10 years for an office called the Office of Refugee Resettlement in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in D.C. And I mentioned the Office of Refugee Resettlement because there's a lot going on in the news about bringing the Afghan refugees over. And that was part of my job, is to be at the ports, at the airports, to bring refugees in and to make sure that they were resettled. I actually managed a program called the Healthy Families Initiative. So once the refugees came in, all over the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, there were different target populations served. I served refugees, and so I was a program manager of a program called the Healthy Families Initiative, and part of that program was When the refugees would come over here, the husband and wives, it was our grantees nonprofits. That's who I had oversight over. They would hold like family enrichment classes, marriage classes, relationship building. And so just to teach couples, refugees and immigrants, just to teach them basically how Americans, have healthy relationships. So that was my program. I managed well over 60 nonprofits, receiving multiple millions of dollars worth of funding. So I got a bulk of my experience there. Also hold a master's in nonprofit management and development. Also got some experience in higher education and all levels of the government, local government, county government, state government, and federal government. So I have an array of experience working with the public sector. So I like to think that I know what I'm talking about. When it comes to this thing called nonprofit management, tons of hours in continuing education, professional development. And so, yeah, that's who I am. I love this thing called nonprofit management. No, I've never had my own nonprofit, and it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. But yeah, I've managed just about every aspect of it, or part, every part, every type of nonprofit. That's what I should say. The bulk of my role, though, has been in communications, program management from the federal government point of view. But when I worked in the nonprofit sector, like in a nonprofit, I held communications, public relations positions. And so yeah, so that's what I do. That's my passion. That's what I'm called to do. That's where the Lord placed me in this little part of the garden called nonprofits. So that's who I am. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, jill@thesavvyservant.com. And if I can answer a question like with a yes or no, I'll do that. If not, and you have more of an extensive questions, if you have never spoken with me, I'll offer a 15-minute, no cost, no obligation consultation. So you can definitely take advantage of that. The link is in the somewhere in here. Um, you can also, if I've spoken with you and you still want to pick my brain, you have to book some time. So, with that being said, one of my announcements, I am pleased to announce that I am all of my one-on-ones are officially sold out. So I have no more room left for one-on-ones for 2021. So I will revisit and open back up my one-on-ones in 2022, depending on how my life will be. So all of my one-on-ones, all of my slots are filled. Thank you, Jesus. And so yeah, I'm so happy about that. And but the next announcement is that I have announced last week that I will be doing a live e-course. So that's my most popular e-course, How to Start Your Charitable Nonprofit in 30 Days. It's 4 weeks, so it's 4 consecutive Tuesdays. We start on Tuesday, October 5th. The second session is Tuesday, October 12th. The third session is Tuesday, October 19th, I think. And then the last session is Tuesday, October 26th. All right, so it's 4 sessions. We meet at 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. You see me like this, I see you. You can that's the time to ask all questions. I'm teaching you from A to Z, from your idea of a nonprofit to implementation to impact. So we start with the overview of the nonprofit industry. We talk about your brand, how to develop your brand, how to build your program, how to build your nonprofit business, how to create partnerships. We talk about all of that from A to Z. We end the last session. We talk all about money, all about my 5 top ways to raise money, raise funds. We talk about grant proposals, what to look for in the grants. We talk about foundation grants, government grants, all that good stuff. I was also in the federal government. I also served as a grant proposal reviewer. So I am giving you all the tricks of the trade, what grant reviewers look for in a grant proposal. So all of that is covered in those 4 weeks. You get over all the tools. You get over 35 tools. You get me during those 4 weeks. And by the end of the course, if you want, you can, have a nonprofit up and running in those four weeks if you hustle. But just to even glean from the information, get the information, be able to pick my brain, you have me for those 4 weeks. That live e-course has been very, very popular. I started back in 2017, and for like 2 years straight, I was doing them every single month. They have been sold out. And so this year I hadn't done any, but I am going to do one in 2021. It is going to be in October. So if you want to take advantage of it, please do so. I can only take a certain amount. Those of you who've taken it before, you know what I say, because I like to give as much personalized attention as I can. So I can't take but a certain amount. But if you want to get in, you can do so. The link is in the about section. This is weird because usually I'm on Facebook, on Instagram, and I can say the link is in my profile. But if you go to, I think you can go to my website. Yeah, go to www.thesavvyservant.com /products and services, if that makes sense. If not, just email me, jill@thesavvyservant.com, and I'll send you the link. All right. So go get it while it is open. You can do that. And yeah, I think that's all of my announcements for this week. I think. What else is happening? Ain't nothing else happening. I'm looking forward to going to Chicago next month to for the Nehemiah Project conference. My client, the Nehemiah Project, the nonprofit, the Chambliss brothers, if you follow them on Instagram, Chris Chambliss is having his nonprofit conference. So we are flying out to Chicago, and yeah, I'm excited about it. All right. All right. So let me tell you. So last week, I think it was last week, I got a call from, or I got someone reached out to me through the my free consultation. They reached out, and just like most people who reach out through the 15-minute consultation, it's always the same thing. I need funding. I need funding. I need funding. I need funding. So I listened to this young lady, and she said that she needed funding. She couldn't get grant funding. She's a 501c3 tax exempt status nonprofit, and she can't get funding. She has never been able to get funding for her nonprofit, and da da da. And so just like I do with everyone else, she actually she asked if she actually ended up getting she ended up retaining me for 1 hour. So I offer these 1 hours where you can just, it's called momentum, where you can just do 1 hour consulting with me. So so she took that. She said she only needed an hour. She really wanted to ask a lot of some questions. So so she told me about her nonprofit, and I want to say, yes, in Maryland. It's in Maryland. So, excuse me, she told me about her nonprofit. And as we were talking, I did the things that I do. I can do, I can do an internal audit. Usually it takes more than that, but just for the sake of, just talking to her, she didn't pay for an internal audit, but I said, let me just do a little bit of research. And so when I went to do the research where I usually go to check out somebody's nonprofit, some stuff jumped out at me. So I want to talk about, not to tell her business, but I want to talk about some things that may take you out of compliance, and you have no idea. You have no idea. So being in compliance with a nonprofit. Hey, welcome everybody, whoever that is that jumped on. Being in compliance with the nonprofit is the creme de la creme. Like that's the difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit. Like you really have to be in compliance. And so there's many different rules and regulations that you have to follow on different levels. Tonight, I only want to talk about the state level. So I know there are many things. Hey, who is that? Please let me know who you are. I can't see your name. I don't know who that is. It just says Facebook user. So, when you get your 501c3 tax exempt status, there's a lot of things that the IRS requires and all that great stuff. But there's some things that the state requires, and I want to talk about them really quickly. It's not long, but I just want you to be aware because these are things that can hinder you, that can hem you up, and you have no clue that you ain't compliant. All right. And you ain't really in business. There's some things that you think you in business and you really not in business. All right. So the very, very first thing you need to know, and you probably know, maybe you don't. This one is not so big as the last one. There are only three things I want to mention, but this one, a lot of people overlook this. Very first thing is that a nonprofit is a business. It is a business, and it is regulated by the state, just like every other business. Hi, Rashonda Smith, CEO of Mother Matters. Hey, welcome. Just like any other business, your nonprofit is a business that is regulated by your state, whatever state you registered your business. You need to know all of the ins and outs of that state as it pertains to your business, your nonprofit, and running a business. Your nonprofit is a business. Therefore, the very first thing you need to remember is that you have to file it every year. Every year, you have to re-register it. You have to renew it. You got to renew it. You got to do those things just being a business. That's one thing. And that's whether you're a nonprofit or for profit. Every year, I know for me, every year, every April, I pay that couple of $100 fee to keep the Savvy Servant a business and a business in the state of North Carolina. So that's the very, very first thing. A lot of people think that when once they file their business with the state, they're good. They ain't gotta do anything else. You also this is a sidebar from it being a business. If you're selling anything, like say if you're selling T-shirts or in it could be ebooks, whatever. If you're selling a product, you need to check with your state to see if you need to do sales and use tax. So that's a separate thing. This is all under number one. But you need to, these are things you need to know to be in compliance. Yes, this is the boring stuff. This is the boring part. But this is the stuff that you need to know because it can be hindering you from getting funding. All right. So that's number one. Number one is that you got to remember that your business and you got to renew your business annually. Second thing is that every year you need to file a 990 with the IRS if you have more than $25,000 worth of revenue. Now, you're not required to file a 990. But I like to tell my clients to file a 990, and I go over it in the e-course why. And I'm not going to go over here, but if you are raising funds and you are bringing, especially if you have whatever, if it's over 25,000, you need to file. You don't pay, a nonprofit doesn't pay taxes, but you got to file a 990 by every May for your nonprofit. Like if you don't file it, when people go out there to look for the legitimacy of your nonprofit, they're going to see that you did not file a nonprofit. Now, let me just tell you this. Foundations who are giving out grants, they're known to go look to see if you have your 990. That's what they are known to do. They're known, there's one database that they go look to see if you filed a 990. If you have not, 9 times out of 10, it means that you have not made over $25,000 and you're not required. But there's so many nonprofits out there that brought in more than 25,000 and they're not filing 990s. So right there, you're out of compliance. And so ain't nobody gonna give you no grant funding, not even no individual donors. Like a real individual donor who looks to see the legitimacy of your nonprofit, they're not gonna give you anything if you have not filed your proper paperwork with the IRS. Plus the IRS, if you don't file your 990 in 3 consecutive years, your 501c3 tax and status will be revoked. I mean, like the IRS will get you, but that's something else you have to do. The third thing is the reason why I brought up this topic. This is the third thing that a lot of nonprofits overlook. And it's so simple, but it's detrimental. There are 40 states that require you to Baby, you okay? I'm sorry. I heard a bang. I'm sorry. I heard a bang. There are 40 states that require you to file a charitable solicitation registration. So let me put this in some plain language for you. So the young lady that I was speaking to last week, when I went to do my research while we were on the phone, I went to do my research on her nonprofit. It said that she raised, it said that she raised, I want to say it was like 6,000 or something dollars for the year. But it also said that her nonprofit, and these are just general terms, basically it said that her nonprofit was shut down. Why? Because she did not file even though she didn't make over 25,000, she did not file a charitable solicitation registration. You all need to know this. You need to know if your state requires a charitable solicitation registration. That means if your nonprofit is in North Carolina or wherever it is required, say if it's in North Carolina, if your nonprofit gets up and running tomorrow, or if it's been up and running for the last year, if you say, okay, if I call you and say, I want to make a donation to you. I saw, you on Instagram. I love what you're doing. I want to make a donation to you. If you take money from me, that means you are raising funds from me. If that state requires that you are registered to solicit funds and you have not filed the paperwork, you are automatically not in compliance and you can be shut down. The thing is that it said it. It said it on, I want to say it was the state of Maryland. It was the state of Maryland. It said under her nonprofit, this nonprofit that she probably already paid the renewal fee for. She thinking she's in compliance. She's building this nonprofit, and her nonprofit doesn't even exist because they shut her down. So you need to know if your state, and I believe in the toolkit, in the Activate Toolkit, I do have the list of all of the nonprofits that require a charitable solicitation registration. So you've got to be very, very careful. In the e-course, I talk about a simple example, like a simple thing as, in the DC metropolitan area, Maryland, DC, and Virginia, they're separated really by not even a whole mile. DC and Maryland are separated by a street. Like there's literally a traffic light between DC and Maryland. Like one side of the street of houses is Maryland, the other side is DC. So just think, if you have your nonprofit in Maryland and DC requires you to have a solicitation, charitable solicitation, registered with their state, and one of your board members say works at Howard University, and they say, okay, we're going to host a fundraiser at Howard, or I'm going to host a fundraiser at my DC house. Something so innocent. Y'all go over the DC line to host this fundraiser, and DC requires a charitable solicitation registration. You are out of compliance. So it is very imperative that you know which states, especially your state, if it requires that you file a charitable solicitation, because if not, they will shut you down and you won't even really know it. I'm sure you'll get a letter, but for like this person didn't even know. I said, well, wait a minute, hold on. It says that you raised, you already raised a certain. She said, yeah, somebody gave me a donation. A couple of people gave me a donation. Okay, well, you weren't supposed to take no donations until until you register with the state. And so yes, you got to be in compliance. Any questions? You're in California. Let me see. Don't the 501c3 cover? No. 501c3 is a IRS, is a federal tax exemption. We're talking about the state. You're interested in the e-course. Let me type it in here. Let me type in the hold on, let me get the website. Y'all know I'm getting up in age, and I mean, these days I can't. Hold on. Okay. All right. So that's the website, and all you have to do is go to the third link. You'll see it says live e-course. So real quick, let me talk about 501c3 since you brought it up. 501c3, you can be a nonprofit without a 501c3. So once you register with your state, say tonight you decide, okay, I'm going to register a nonprofit with my state. You can go on their website. You can pay usually it's less than $100. You can pay your nonprofit. I mean, you can pay your $100. You can name your nonprofit, Love and Sunshine Nonprofit. Name it. It depends on your state. If it requires a board, that's a whole nother topic. If it requires you to list board members, it might say it's optional. In the state of North Carolina, it's optional. So you can say, okay, I don't want to list no board members right now. And so you pay your money, and in a couple of days, you'll get the notice back from the state. It'll say, and again, each state is different. North Carolina is pretty simple. Couple of days later, you'll get the letter in the mail that, basically your nonprofit was filed and you are legitimately a nonprofit. At that point, you can operate a nonprofit. Of course, these other little things, you got to make sure you are in compliance. Again, if you're selling anything, you're going to need, of course, you're going to need the EIN, or employee identification number. You're going to need, what am I saying? Basically, you are a nonprofit. At that point, you can deliver services. You are a nonprofit. You don't have to have your 501c3 tax exempt status. You are a nonprofit. After you get yourself up and running and you say, okay, listen, I want to go ahead and get the 501c3 tax exempt status because I want to start taking more donations. I want to apply for grant funding. At that point, then you can apply for a 501c3 tax exempt status. The point is that you don't need a 501c3 tax exempt status to be a nonprofit. You can operate and run a nonprofit without a 501c3. Does that answer your question? Any other questions? So you definitely, yes, yes. So you definitely want to, and a lot of people think that it's hard to start a nonprofit. How do we contact you for one-on-one meeting? You can email me at jill@thesavvyservant.com. Now, my one-on-one 12-week consultations are all booked. As of this week, they're officially booked for 2021. But I do offer the one-on-ones that are 1 hour. So I'm still doing those if you want to, do those. If you want to do the 15-minute consultation, also click that link that I just put up there, because that will take you to my menu of services. You can do the 15-minute consultation, no cost consultation. At no cost if I've never spoken with you. Board members are optional. It depends on your state. It just depends. Now let me clarify that. They're not optional. All nonprofits, whatever state, you have to have a board of directors. But when you go to file your nonprofit, they may say it is optional if you want to list those board of directors at that point. That's optional for some states. But you can't get around not having a board. And the other thing you need to know about a board is that it is imperative that you know your state, because some states say that you only need 3 board members, and of those 3 board members, 2 of them can hold the same position. So you just want to know, you need to know your state's regulations concerning nonprofits up and down, in and out. And unfortunately, some states are more tedious than others. Their websites are all over the place, very confusing. It's hard to get somebody on the phone, especially during this pandemic. Texas is a little tedious. Maryland is tedious. California is tedious. New York is horrific. North Carolina is pretty easy breezy. Georgia is Georgia is unless in the last year they changed some things. Georgia's a little antiquated. I know in Georgia, once you file your nonprofit, once you file as a nonprofit, you got to put a ad out in the newspaper or something crazy like that. But the thing is, you need to know your state. You got to go to your state and see what they require for you to start a nonprofit and to maintain that nonprofit. All right. You definitely need to know. Yes, it is. Maryland is horrible. Yeah, it's yeah. I almost feel sorry for the clients that I have in Maryland. I mean, and I'm that's my home, but I mean, it is what it is. But just about all states will allow you to file your nonprofit or to start a nonprofit, file it, register it online. So that's a great thing. Like nobody requires these days for you to go in, even before the pandemic. So it's really once you get those, and that's what I teach you how to do it systematically, how to do it easy breezy, what to do first, what not to do. Because that's the thing. The thing is that anybody can start a nonprofit. You don't really need me, but I tell you the strategy because you can do. A lot of people come to me and say, "Well, I already got a website. Only thing I need to do, oh no, you need to do a whole bunch of things before you get a website. Like you could have saved that website. You could have saved some time and money. First of all, nobody really using websites, and that's a whole nother subject. But the strategy I give and what to do first, what to do last, what not to do, what you're wasting your time on, what's required, what you need to focus on. And I really tell you in terms of in preparation for that big multi-hundred thousand, quote unquote, up to $1 million or even more of funding, grant funding. And so even how to get ongoing individual donors. So everything I tell you how to build your nonprofit positions you for unlimited funding so that you will not say, well, I ain't got that. And no, after you finish this e-course, you're gonna have everything you need to win a grant. All right. So yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? So again, so make sure you find out with your state if they require a charitable solicitation registration. I was going to show you one, and that means every state that you go to, you're going to need to file one. So if you are, and I get this question all the time. Well, what if you are, raising funds online? That's why you need to be registered with Facebook, their social good program, because they pretty much have you covered. Where's a good place to post for new board members? Social media. Social media, baby. Social media. But before you post board members, um, do you know the role of the board? I know you need to have a board, but do you know the primary role of a board? Because the first thing, because what you don't want to happen is that you get board members and you still doing all the work and they don't know what to do, and you telling them what to do. Because at that point, you're out of order. Um, So make sure you know what. Okay, great. So yes, social media. Um, for me, what works best for me is Instagram. What works best for a lot of my clients is Instagram. LinkedIn works best for businesses. So I definitely suggest that you do business. I'm sorry, you do LinkedIn um, because you have a business, a nonprofit business. Um, yeah, a lot of people have that problem. A lot of people, I'm doing all the work. They don't know what to do. They wait for me to do this. That's because, that's a whole nother subject. That's whole session two, section number two. But yeah, and so yeah, so when you're recruiting board members, you want to be clear about your message and their roles and responsibilities. And you want to give them you want to position yourself as people wanting to support you in any type of way, whether it's funding, whether it's volunteer support, whether it's giving an in-kind donation or financial donation, or how can I be on your board? You want to always position your nonprofit where you're attracting people, not where you're chasing people. Well, can you help me? Can you please help me? I need help. You don't ever want to come out as begging or being a victim because you're actually an entity that's providing a solution. So yeah, yeah, you want to be clear about board roles and responsibilities, and so they ain't feeling like you putting a gun to their head. Any other questions? Any other questions? Something I was saying. Forgot what I was saying. But yeah, so yeah, it is definitely a strategy in how you build it, because you can get all the way to that. I see it all the time. You get all the way to that grant proposal, and you're writing this, and they say something as simple as this is I'm making this up. Uh, basically, who's going to manage the $200,000 that we're going to give you? And you be like, well, we ain't even got a CFO. We don't have a program manager. I was going to do that. I'm the founder, I'm the board chair, and I'm an executive director. I was doing all of that because don't nobody want to help me. That ain't gonna work. Um, Board members and board of directors is two different roles. Board members and board of directors. Board members and board officers. You can say board of directors, yeah, but they're all a part of the board. So board officers are your five top positions: your treasurer, your chair, vice chair, sergeant at arms, and your secretary. And then if you have more than five people, you can they can be board, a part of the board. The way I teach board development, I like to separate into committees. And so those other board members can be parts of committees. And so it just depends. But yeah, so that you're right. It's all the same body, but different roles. How do you deal with annual memberships? Annual memberships, which like, what do you mean annual memberships? The annual memberships for your board? Annual memberships. If this is a board question, the thing you need to know about boards is that once you do that first introduction meeting, you as the executive director, if that's the role you're gonna take, you're out of it. It's up to the board to regulate the board. And it depends on what role you're taking. You cannot be the executive director and the board chair, have a board officer role at the same time. You can't do that. That's a conflict of interest. How you do it. So annual memberships, it depends. I mean, it depends. Everything is a vote. So if they want to do, I don't understand. Do you mean annual memberships as them paying to be on the board, like board dues? Yes, I'm all for that. Or do you mean just as position? If you mean annual, like their positions rotating out every year, that depends on what the consensus says. If they all say, yeah, let's do it a year, for a year, they may say, let's hold these positions for 2 years. I like to say in the beginning, if they have issues paying dues, that's a red flag. I like to say that if you have, what am I trying to say? Oh, in the beginning, because you're still trying to prove yourself, and you got to probably get people, unfortunately, to help you out to be on the board. You definitely, even if it's going to be a friend, you want somebody who's going to work. But I like to, what I tell my clients is that, ask them if they can agree to help you out, commit to 6 months. And at 6 months, and that's just like the charter board members. At 6 months, then you can revisit their role on the board. You just want them to do those two main roles, which I'm not going to tell you here, those two main things to get you up and rolling in those first 6 months. If they decide after that they want to stay on after that, then at that 6 months, then you go into a whole year, quote unquote, membership, if that makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's up to the group of people to say, I suggest this go for a year or 2 years or whatever. Um, paying. Let me tell you a real quick story. I've probably told this story 100 times. You all probably haven't heard it, but I'm gonna tell you here real quick. So I was asked, this is years ago. I was asked to be on the board. Again, I was asked to be on the board. Again, I was asked to be on the board. Somebody came to me and said, you got this wonderful nonprofit PR communications background, and I'm looking for The lady said she was coming off the board and she was looking for somebody to replace her spot on the board, asked if I would consider doing it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I had just left the federal government to start my business full time. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get my feet wet. I need to know some people. And this particular organization was a nonprofit organization in DC, heavy hitter. The founder, phenomenal woman, phenomenal Black woman who had a nonprofit that service kids. Oh my God, what was the name of the organization? I forgot, but it was like child welfare. And so I went to the board meeting and, I introduced myself. I didn't know anybody. It was a very diverse board. It was like maybe 9 or 10 or 11 people. And so I sat in the board meeting. I sat at the table and they were having, their board meeting. And so they said, we like to, welcome, Jill Morris to our board. She's taking such and such as, place. And we're happy to have her because the first order of business is we're redoing our website and we would love to have her input. And I'm like, yay, I'm a part of a board. I'm getting my feet wet. Then she says to me, how will you be paying your $1,200 dues tonight? And I was like, excuse me? Like, y'all asked me to be on this board. I didn't say that, but I'm like, like this is like, and so I said, well, I wasn't prepared. I'm thinking I'm a new business owner, small business owner, like child, I need my coins, but I was like, well, I wasn't prepared to bring, $1,200 check. Maybe next time. At that point, I was like considering like I ain't coming back. Like, so, sorry, like I'm just not like I want to be on this board. Like I really wanted to be on that board. That's the type of people you want who's going to really want to be on the board. But anyway, so she says, well, this is what happens if you're not prepared to pay cash. You have to deliver us services. She said you either have to deliver us services equivalent to $1,200, or you have to agree to fundraise to raise double that $1,200 in the next like 6 weeks, something crazy. And so I agreed to deliver the communications and PR services. That's what I agreed to do. But the next year I was ready for them. I was like, this is my check. I am paying this because that connection alone gave me did so much for my business. So yeah. So dues will separate the real from the fake. Even if it's nothing but $25. Somebody to pay to be on the board. Board dues is yeah, it'll separate the real from the fake. Any other questions? Any other questions? The bottom line is to handle your business, the boring stuff. I know y'all are visionaries, y'all are creative people, y'all just want to do the program stuff and do all the colorful stuff. You gotta handle your business. You gotta handle that boring part, that compliance part. So yeah. All right, so I'm upset that I can't see names. It's just saying Facebook user. But yeah, if y'all have any questions, just reach out. Follow me on Instagram if you're not following me. Do you want to be on my board? Do I want to be on your board? If there's any other question behind where can I get funding, it's that. Ciao. I just came off with two boards. My clients, those who I serve, those are my one-on-one clients. When they have their board meetings, I sit in on their first board meeting to make sure everything goes smoothly. Cool. I'm glad I'm on all your platforms. But yeah, but that's the extent that I can do. I can't do it now. I'm about to get married. I'm a mama. I'm about to be a grandmama. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to simplify my life. But good luck on that board. Good luck. I got you. If we working together, I got everything you need to know. I'm gonna pour it into you. I got you. I'm gonna give you every tool you need. I'm gonna give you everything. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any other questions, concerns? Um, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'll try to come back on Thursday. If y'all have some topics y'all want me to cover, just let me know. You can email me at jill@thesavvyservant.com. You can also post your questions here. Please post your questions. This group is for you all too. So it's it's just not me talking. Like, you get tired of that. All right. So yeah, that's it for me. You all be blessed and have uh, a good evening, and I will try to be back on Thursday. All right. Blessings.